What is up, everybody? If you like the content I put up, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment below letting me know what you think of today's video. What is up, everybody? STARSKREAM here, and today we are going to be continuing the Jerry saga. This is going to be part 2, and I didn't originally plan on doing 2 parts to this video that I started yesterday, but I realized after doing a few raids that I was banging my head against the wall a lot more than I usually do, and I just really didn't feel like last video was complete. I feel like I didn't leave you guys with enough tools to be able to successfully conquer this event, so I decided to make sure that I revisit this so I can give you all the information you need. Now, I was doing pretty abysmal, to be honest. I knew that I was for the most part making the right Jerrys. I knew the core components of the event, but I was still sort of failing, which is something that some of you guys might be running into. Now, this video is going to be more geared towards those of you that are higher level, because those of you that are lower level, if you follow just the last video and you make a Jerry that has the traits that I talked about, you're going to pretty much dominate everybody with a fast lead by example Jerry. You're just gonna stomp with 2 or 3 of those. You're just gonna wreck everybody. Under level 74, let's say, you're probably just gonna stomp everybody out. But for those of us that are level 80 or at least close to it, we're having a really rough time, and I know even a lot of my guildmates are having a rough time. The veterans are doing okay, but for the most part, it's still kind of confusing for everybody, just because it's brutal out there. A lot of times you're getting super hard for all 3 options, and it's hard to deal with this epic Dhaegon and stuff like that. So I went through a grueling 50 raids or so to try and figure out what worked and what didn't work, and try and figure out a team that had a really high win percentage for me. So I figured it out, and that's what I'm going to go over right now. So what I was trying to do was get it to the point where I could make one core team that I just swapped out Jerrys for as need be, depending on the difficulty of the defense that I was going against. So I'm still using the basic rogue, warrior, or tank Jerry, but I did make some changes. So let's start with the Jerrys first. The first major change I did was I went through and I rebuilt my rogue Jerry a bunch of times, and I will highly recommend, after this experience that I had, if you want to succeed in the next 3 days of this event, take my word for it, make 2 really solid Jerrys. The best stats by far in this Jerry event are going to be fast, lead by example, and from the ashes. From the ashes has helped me immensely. It used to it's always been good, but it wasn't so necessary before, but it's extremely necessary now. I use my rogue Jerry now, even though I like my warrior Jerry better as far as his abilities, his moveset. The fact that my rogue Jerry has this from the ashes and my warrior doesn't is what makes me end up using this rogue Jerry more. So in instances where I have to use just one rogue Jerry, I end up using my rogue instead of my warrior, which I didn't see coming, but it definitely, having all 3 of these traits is phenomenal. The next thing you're going to want to make sure of for your second Jerry, whichever one that may be, is that they also have fast and lead by example, and then preferably another from the ashes, sorry, because that helps a lot. So those are the 2 that I'm mainly using, and then my tank Jerry is just I had to rebuild my rogue Jerry 5 or 6 times, and I was just running out of tickets, and I was tired of getting more tickets. I just wanted to make one that worked, but getting that set up there helped a lot. And then I kept my warrior Jerry. I didn't want to re-roll him because his abilities were really good, and I figured at least if I had one with from the ashes, that it would that would be sufficient. Now, what it really boiled down to as far as being successful at this event was a lot more than just these abilities, which normally hasn't been the case in the past. Usually in the past, if you get a decked out ability Jerry, that you just wipe people. But in this case, it had a lot to do with the way that I also ruined my teammates. So my main hero that I use in every single 100% of my raids is going to be Dhaegon. What I was running into before was my Dhaegon was getting silenced, he was getting killed right off the bat, so I had to make some changes. So with him I had 2 festive runes, and that was so that I could make resounding pounding happen on the first turn. just because that does three hits. It ends up usually killing somebody, and if I end up having Serenity, it helps a lot to be able to have that available to me. Now the next thing that kept happening to my Dhaegon was he kept getting silenced, so I put 2 forward sights on him to stop him from getting silenced, because he's going to be my first attacker pretty much always. He's going to be my first attacker. And then lastly, I put an evasion rune. Evasion helps a lot with Miko. Miko does not have perfect swing, so if they have a Miko on defense, they pretty much always miss as long as you have at least 1 evasion. So my recommendation: evasion, 2 foresights, 2 festives. As far as my Jerrys go, I did change up their runes a little bit as well. You'll notice here I put some unbreakable hearts, but I put a mix, like I mentioned in my last video, I did put a mix of defense with offense on here, and I highly recommend that. And I think I put some foresights where I could, but like for example on my warrior Jerry, I put a festive on him, I believe 3 festives to be exact, so that I could make sure that I had access to Steel Sharpened Steel and Thunder Smash depending on, you know, what the defense was. But I needed to make sure that I had access to these, and previously I didn't. Previously I had no festives, I just had a pure attack and a little bit of defense, and I was running into times where I could use this, but it wasn't like killing people. Like this will, Steel Sharpened Steel and Thunder Smash are like game winners, so definitely want to make sure that you can use those. So if you have access to those on your warrior Jerry, I definitely recommend putting some festive runes so that he will be able to use them, and then putting some attack runes, and then again an evasion rune helps a lot. I think I tried putting an evasion rune on every one of my heroes that I had enough for. So moving on, when I can't run 3 Jerrys, I at least run 2 hopefully. The 4th hero I usually bring with me is going to be Serenity. So typically, unless I'm running against a Miko, I will pretty much always bring Serenity with me if I'm running a 2+2, like a 2 hero plus 2 Jerrys. With Serenity, again, I put an Unbreakable Heart just to like try and keep her alive. I put an Evasion because again, that's very important. And aside from that, just pretty normal stuff just to try and give her a little bit more attack. Last but not least, and kind of like somebody I didn't expect to be like a very integral part of this team, is Grandeur. Now, you might have seen in my last video, I did use him a bit, but what I did with my Grandeur now is I have put a tank rune on him so that when you're running up against these Dhaegon teams that are like super ubered out Dhaegons, part of the issue that I was running into when I was doing it wasn't so much that Dhaegon was always like wiping my team, especially when I had Grandeur on my team, but part of the issue was that his main special attack was always hitting like my Dhaegon or like somebody important on my team. So like my team would be fine, but then my Dhaegon couldn't use his special, and then he would just basic attack, and then the whole rest of my plan would fall apart. So what I did was that I put this tank rune on it, and what that does, in case you don't know, if you have a tank rune, even AoE attacks will still hit the tank rune person first. So Dhaegon's attack stopped like taking away the energy from the first person he was hitting, because he was hitting Grandeur, and it didn't matter that he was taking Grandeur's energy. I don't mind. So I used Grandeur there as a way to mitigate the damage, not only the damage but also the effect that I was taking from Dhaegon. So what ended up happening was I went from a negative like win rate to the point where I was like losing way more games than I was winning, to now I've probably won the last 40 games and I've maybe lost like 5 or 6. So like I've still lost some obviously, but I've been going after really hard teams. I take advantage of the easy teams, but like when I get 3 hard teams like as all 3 of my options, now I can tackle them and I'm still winning the vast majority of my games. So let's just dive into some PvP and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So like I was mentioning, really what I was going after was trying to have a team of like heroes that I could interchange for every single match. Not obviously one team fits all, but essentially one interchangeable team that fits all. So what I mean by that is 3 normal heroes with 3 Jerrys that I could just swap out for pretty much every single defense that I was coming up against. Now for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna go after like, let's say like not the hardest teams, but like difficult teams. Obviously, you know, in this case, I would go after whatever the easiest team was. Like in this case, I'd probably go after this team here. But just because I'm filming the video, I'm going to go after like a semi-decent team. Like this is like a halfway decent 6100, you know, like not the easiest defense in the world. So I'm going to go after these. As always, I do recommend, you know, I'm still trying to avoid like the hardest teams if I can. But for the most part, the cool thing about this team is that I can pretty much take on almost every defense. And I'm going to go over in a second here. I'm going to go over like which ones I absolutely avoid no matter what, and which ones that you can mitigate that you might not have thought that you could mitigate before. Now, the order is pretty much always the same. I pretty much always run Dhaegon, and then my rogue Jerry, and then the last 2 slots are usually the only ones that change. So in this case, basically what I'm going to do is I do believe that I'll be able to survive without Grandeur. So the first thing I do is I look at the team and I go, okay, will I be able to live that first attack, in this case from Hagrid, without Grandeur? Because Grandeur gives you a little bit of damage reduction. In this case, I do think I will be able to survive it. I hope I'm right. We're going to try this out and just kind of see how it goes. Okay, so it looks like my hypothesis was partially correct. I did survive, but not in the way that I wanted to. Luckily, it looks like my rogue Jerry died, and he has the from the ashes, so he will come alive as long as we can survive. As long as we can survive long enough. So in this case, I would normally use resounding pounding because that would give me a haste buff, but because I had to use it on a basic attack because I guess he lost some energy there, I'm going to use electrified whirlwind. Normally I would use this, and in fact it might make sense for me still to do it just to try and make sure that I can get rid of this Falcon, but I really don't think that I'll have enough firepower to kill him. So instead I'm just going to use electrified whirlwind, and I'm going to do some AoE damage. So that's good. That ended up working out a lot better than I expected it to. And because I have this lead by example, we might be able to kill this Falcon here. Maybe. Yes. Okay, so that worked out perfectly. Now, normally I'd go after this Malice, but she does have evasion, so I didn't, and that ended up working out. So that was good. In the next turn, my rogue would have come back to life, so things would have worked out very much in our favor. Zizpiz is a good defense. So the only defenses that I try to avoid like the plague are going to be defenses that have Archon first. Archon with Serenity on defense is super hard to deal with these Jerry offense teams. Have I won them? Yes, but I found that for the most part, the majority of matches that I'm losing are going to be to these teams with Archon first. So for the most part, I try and avoid them, as well, only if they have Serenity, but most of them are going to have Serenity. In this case, I'd probably go after this team. This obviously is a pretty easy, so I got pretty lucky on this one. We can run and just see if we can survive this, but this is just going to be just for show purposes. But in a case like this, where I'm going up against a really hard defense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my warrior, and I'm going to add Grandeur. So this is like this 4 team here is my team that I put against, like, whatever the hardest defense that I'm going against is going to be these guys. These are my last resort team. All right, so we got pretty lucky on that one. Because we have evasion and stuff, it ended up like helping us out, it looks like, a little bit there, and that's good. And on this defense, it doesn't look like he's got any tank runes or like any aversion runes except for Serenity. So it looks like we're going to be okay on that. Because I have my own Serenity, I'm going to make sure to use Resounding Pounding first before I use Electrified Whirlwind, and that might give me my haste buff, but remember, their opponent's Serenity also applies that null magic, so I might not get the haste buff. So you got to take like stuff like that into mind. I think, I'm not sure if it shows null magic. Does he have a null magic? No, it doesn't look like I got null magic. It might have already applied and removed one of my other buffs, so I should be good on this. I'm going to test this out and see if it works. Cool, I did get my haste buff, which is awesome. That's exactly what we were looking for. It reduces energy by 1, so I'm going to try and hit this Jhin. It doesn't do damage to him, but it reduces energy, so hopefully he'll just have to use his epic attack, which is totally fine by us. Now in this case here, it doesn't look like anybody has any dodge, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an attack buff first. And oh, we got hit with null magic. I forgot he had it. Unfortunately, that's we really didn't want that to happen, but that's okay. We'll work with it. We'll figure it out. We'll see if we can maybe hit one of these guys here. If we're lucky. Doesn't look like it. So I just talked about making sure that you keep null magic in mind, and I didn't do that myself. But as you can see, my Jerry just rezzed, so that's good. But again, that Archon explosion is the main reason that I avoid these types of teams. And that's exactly why. We basically just got beat by Archon. So definitely, again, my whole tip is avoid Archon at all costs. He can make, if you even make one wrong move, he can totally mess up your whole game plan here. And in this case, even if I would have done the correct move that I was trying to do and taken null magic into account, the same sequence of events would have happened where he would have used that explosion, wiped out my team. And because of his passive, you just typically don't kill him in time unless you are able to hit him like with shield piercing or something, which my setup isn't really made for. So again, in the future, just if you want to take my advice, I would just try and avoid Archon teams and where Archon is first. And if you are making your defense, I would highly recommend keeping Archon in there. Now in this case here, Archon is second. So we're going to try this again and see if Archon being second makes a difference. It should, but Archon totally throws a wrench into everything and kind of makes it a little bit of a toss-up. But I do believe in most cases, Archon being second increases our win rate by a lot as offense here. Now, because Dhaegon already went and because Archon's not going to die anyway, I'm going to go after their Serenity here. And next I will hit with... Perfect. So it looks like we should be good too. Does he have a null magic? We always got to check for this null magic. No, we're good. Okay, so again, I'm going to use this attack buff first. And then next, I'm going to try and take out his Dhaegon. We were successful. I'm going to hopefully silence. There we go. He's dead. Awesome. So it makes a huge difference when Archon is second. So when you're looking at these defenses, keep these tips in mind. They should help you. And again, as you can see, I'm going after some of the more difficult defenses, and I'm still coming out on top. Now it looks like we only have some easy defenses, so I'm going to wipe these out really quick, and then I'm going to continue the recording. So after about 6 games, I finally got a halfway decent team here. T. Woodson is a very strong defense here, probably one of the best defenses in the game currently. But again, he has this Dhaegon first with the Archon second. So let's see if we can conquer this with our last resort team here, for those of you that are constantly running into these extremely difficult teams. So it looks like we were able to survive that first salvo. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and get rid of, let's see here, fears and lowers the attack of all other enemies. So I'm going to try and take out his Serenity. And we are successful, and it's going to lower the enemy's energy by 1. So I'm going to try and hit this Archon here. So he's only able to basic attack, which is exactly what we were going for. Does he have any type of evasion? No, but we do have null magic, so we won't receive a buff from Serenity. So I'm going to just try and make sure that I wipe him out here, because I don't know that I'll get hasted. Well, I did, but it still served its purpose. We'll probably miss this, but at least we'll get an attack buff here. Maybe we'll hit if we're lucky, but I doubt it. Nope, dodged. Perfect. So we took out Dhaegon, which was his first attacker, and now we have the ability to try and hit him with this silence. which we missed, but that's okay. Her basic attack hits twice, so maybe we'll hit him. No, we didn't. We're good, but we should still be able to pull this one out just because he hasn't used any specials yet and because this should kill him here. And as you can see, Archon second is totally fine. Dhaegon first, even with an epic, is totally manageable with this team if you follow my exact rune setup, or at least somewhat similar. Again, I did a mostly hybrid build here, and if you need, you can comment below, or you can send me a line message or a message on Discord, and I can like send you screenshots of my exact runes, but I feel like I gave pretty much the basic idea. These are all, again, pretty easy teams, but I think I'm going to stop the video here. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hopefully this helps. I didn't put like a ton of effort into, you know, a script or anything for this video, just because I want to get this out as fast as possible to help all you guys with the rest of the event. But trust me, I was in the same boat as all of you guys, losing like 99% of my matches, ripping my hair out, wanting to break my phone. But after figuring this 6-person team out, it definitely helped me a lot. So I hope it helps you as well. Enjoy the rest of the event, and I will be hopefully doing a video either tonight. I might record it tonight and just upload it tomorrow, or the next day on the new Zulk epic, which my friend Maitrity Base is going to let me use his account to show you guys that epic. So stay tuned within the next day or two, and I will be doing a full review and breakdown of that as well.